Here are some eyeshadow palettes I used again. Welcome to everyone watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today's video is going to be an oldie but a goodie. I love going back to my older eyeshadow palettes, and I don't know about you guys, but especially if you have a larger makeup collection like I do, it can take time and effort to rotate through and to go back to favorites. So that's why I do this series, to force myself to do it, and if I know I'm going to film with it, I have more of an intention behind it as well. And it's sort of a video that exists to encourage you to do the same. Within the online beauty community, it's so much about buying the new things and reviewing everything. And even though I am someone with an online makeup presence, you could say, I don't want to fall into that trap. So especially when I love things as much as some of the palettes I'm showcasing today, I just want to go back to them and use them more often and show you different looks that I do with this, because very often I have palettes, and even though when I review them for the first time, I will make sure that before I review the palette, I have tried every single pan of eyeshadow that's in there. But that doesn't mean I've created all the possible looks that I could potentially create. And for instance, the look I'm wearing today is with a palette that you guys know I love, but I don't think I've ever done this particular look with this palette before. So I wanted to try some different techniques again this time round, and I went to 5 different palettes that are all favorites. So none of these are like on the chopping block or anything, but I was just really excited to use some of these again. The first palette I want to show you is this little guy. This is by Glossier. This is one of their monochrome palettes in the shade Mist. I have 2 of these. I have Jute and Mist, which are both the cooler toned options that the range originally offered, and I really like these. The only thing I'm missing in these little Glossier palettes is a 4th shade that could help with like liner or deepening things up. I really feel that if there was one additional shade in here that was like a deeper mauvey purple, that it would have been taken to the next level. Of course, it doesn't really go with Glossier's aesthetic, so I understand why they didn't do that, but I do really like the quality of these. So here is what Mist looks like, and as you can see, in this palette, you get essentially 3 textures of the same shade. You get a matte, you get a satin, and you get a metallic. And that to me works really well. I can use the matte in the crease, I can use the satin on the lower lash line, and I very often will put the metallic all over the lid, and I get a very seamless, very easy to wear eyeshadow look that is never too offensive. It works with everything, and I think these little Glossier palettes are really good to have. I'm really glad I have mine. I just realized that I hadn't used Mist in a while. Like, very often I will go for Jute over Mist. I'm not exactly sure why, because I like the slight purple undertone this has, but it's not too purple, so it's not too on the nose, not like what I'm wearing today. Like, it's one of those things where I feel like it's great if you want to dip your toe into colorful things, but without it being like overdone and being too colorful for you. This leans very neutral, and it's just going to make your look very effortless and just easy to wear. These apply like a dream, like the blendability is there for sure. And I like that you get those 3 different textures. I just wish it had one darker matte. That's the only downside to it. But this is great, especially if you're someone who is, you know, just really sticking to one palette and you're using it every single day, then something like this can be wonders, or can work wonders for you. But I also really wanted to give this another spin. This is the Longing palette by Blend Bunny, and this is so good. It's a really nice cool tone palette, and I've tried some other Blend Bunny palettes in the past, but they either were too dark for me or not cool toned enough. So when they released this, I was really excited for this, and I wanted to wear this again because I saw one of my favorite TikTok creators, Bronte Marie, use this palette, and especially this shade. And I was like, yep, that is quite, like, hands down one of the best shades in this entire palette. I was like, I want to do another look with it, but because it is listed in this like greeny gray row, that's sort of what I lean towards when I use this as well. But she put it together with the purples that this has. So I did sort of like a gray purple look, put this one all over the lid. I think I did use this one a little bit on the lower lash line, but it was so, so beautiful. I don't understand why they put this one in with this, because yes, it does have like a greeny blue sort of vibe to it, but it's essentially like a periwinkle purple sort of shade with a goldy green flip, I would say. So it kind of goes with both, and I felt like $1,000,000 wearing this. This is really beautiful, and this is why I always feel so sad that, especially these older palettes, I feel Blend Bunny has gotten a little bit better at it, but they are pretty matte heavy. It's not that I don't like Blend Bunny. I love Blend Bunny. They have one of the best formulas on the market. I know. But I don't need this many mattes. If you can do shimmers that are this good, give me more shimmers, please. But yeah, that's always been my main remark with Blend Bunny, is that I just want more shimmers, because they do very beautiful shimmers. But I can create, like, if I just, like, have this and this, I could possibly, like, create this. So do I need all of these different, different depths of mattes to create things? No, because for, like, a very dark shade, I think if I had maybe just this or this, I didn't need both. Like, on me, whether I use this or this isn't going to have much of a difference. So I like the midtones it has. I like some of the lighter tones we get in here, but especially in the deep tones, I feel it's far too repetitive because they're trying to give you the gradient. I mean, it goes with the name. I get the vibe. I understand why they do this, but I always felt that from a usage perspective, if you have different brushes and you know how to use makeup brushes, then you don't need this many different, like, mattes to blend your shadow. Let me be real here. Again, with the light shade as well, whether I use this or this could go with both the purples or the grays. So you don't need so many super light and super dark shades as that a Blend Bunny palette usually gives you. Again, I don't skew towards the black because, again, that's pretty stark against my skin tone. So a really dark brown or a dark gray is a little bit better for me. But if I were to mix the dark gray with this shade, I can create this shade. It's just think like a painter when you use your eyeshadow palettes, and you will be able to pull your eyeshadow palettes in so many more ways. So I always feel that Blend Bunny palettes they're not bad. Like I said, the formula is amazing, and I like the idea of it. I feel it's very aesthetic to look at. But from a usage perspective, if you know how to use brushes, if you know how to mix certain colors together, these palettes could easily be half the size when it comes to the mattes, especially some of the older ones that were even bigger. You don't need that many different, like, shades that just have a different depth to it. You don't. Give me one or two maybe really good dark shades, and then one or two lighter shades, and then I can just mix and match and blend things together. I mean, you can use the back of your hand as a bit of a palette if you want to. And yes, also powder shadow can be mixed and blended. You can apply one first and then go over it with the other. If you have a very dark shade that you want to mix with something lighter, you can take a little bit of the light shade and then maybe just do like one touch of the dark shade onto your brush. There are so many things you can do, I feel, just by using different techniques. And I feel that, like, from a consumer perspective, I really think if you don't really know this yet, that a Blend Bunny palette can be very helpful. But I do feel that they could be less big and also less expensive as a result, just from, you know, being able to use things differently. I feel that their, like, more current releases have that a little bit less, because I've tried the Beauty Below palette, and I now also own the Haunted palette or Haunt Me palette, and those have little quads that essentially have, like, the same color story, and those to me I find are a little less offensive when it comes to this, because you often within the quad get slightly different colors. With this, it's really just a gradient from light to dark, and one of those shades is going to be a shimmer. The shimmers are beautiful, but with the mattes, I'm like, yeah, I maybe don't need all of those mattes to still be able to create the looks that I can get out of this palette. So be aware, if you're looking into Blend Bunny, what the palette looks like, and ask yourself that question, like, if I just blend things together, would I be able to create that exact shade that I'm also getting in the palette? And is it then worth it? I got the Longing palette because it's such a good cool tone palette. And I think the look I created with it this time around is amazing. So this palette isn't going anywhere, but this is one of the reasons why I've never really understood the hype that some Blend Bunny palettes have been getting, because yes, they're good, they're really good formula, but from a usage perspective, I'm like, did I need all of those shades? Maybe not. When it comes to color stories, I also always have a lot to say about this brand. This is Natasha Denona. This is the I Need a Nude, and if you want to see the look I've created with this, then I don't only have close-up pictures for you of the look I've done, but I also filmed a tutorial with this palette on Wednesday, or Tuesday. It was on Tuesday. So I did an entire very in-depth tutorial of how I get my eyeshadow to last 12 plus hours, including receipts, because there are 2 steps in the wear test of the eye look I did in the morning before I headed out to work. And the I Need a Nude is a beautiful palette. I love this palette from a nude, like, I'm a neutral lover at heart, even though I'm wearing a teal smoky eye today, but these are my shades. And I made the very bold claim in my eyeshadow palette collection video at the end of August last year that if I had to get rid of all of my eyeshadow palettes and I could keep just one, or if I lost all of them and I could only buy one, like right now, this would be the one. If there is one eyeshadow palette in my entire makeup collection that I can deem a favorite, it's the I Need a Nude. And Natasha Denona color stories are very light skewing and very mid-tone heavy. You can see here there's only one like darker shade. So if you have incredibly deep skin, these may not be for you. Then maybe go with the Blend Bunny because that will have more shades that will work for you. But I personally, this is like the level of like depth that I like. Something that's really deep in like one shade and then one super bright shade, and then everything is a little bit more like a mid-tone. This palette is beautiful because it's very, very neutral. It's got a little bit of warmth in these 2 shades, but if I cover them up, you can see that it's very sort of neutral / cool leaning almost. There are cool tones in here, there are warm tones in here, so I've always called this the perfect smack in the middle neutral eyeshadow palette. Nothing is going to pull too warm, but if you want something warm toned, the option is there. It's not going to be super cool toned, but if you want the option to have something that's a little bit more cool toned, then the option is there. So there is a little bit of everything here, making it the perfect neutral palette for me. I love this shimmer in the corner. I think in the look I did on Wednesday, I used this one all over the lid. Used a little bit of this shade up here on the lower lash line. It's just a very well-balanced palette. And with Natasha Denona, I really feel it's one of the top tier formulas on the market. These blend themselves, the shimmers are impactful. You can layer these, you can just really play with your shadow. And one of the things I also like about these, and I know that Blend Bunny now also does magnetic eyeshadow palettes, but you can take these out, you can just like pull a little pin in them, put a little pin in them, and you can just pull them out and like recreate color stories. And if you have a couple of Natasha Denona palettes, you can mix and match them quite easily, which I've done in the past as well. So yeah, Natasha Denona I Need a Nude is just really, really good. A great staple in my collection. But for me to say that this is my favorite eyeshadow palette and not even have dents in this, I thought was a bit shameful. So I want to try and make more of an effort in 2026 to get more use out of this palette because I love the color story. I love the way these shades look on me. Like I said, if I could keep just one eyeshadow palette in my entire collection, it is this one, hands down. And I want to prove that to you this year by, like, perhaps, I won't be able to hit pan on any of these because I do think you get quite a bit of shadow in each pan. But at least to get this to look a little bit more used so that I can also, like, make that bold claim of this is my favorite eyeshadow palette of all time. And now that I've used it again, I can see, like, for instance, in this one, I can see it a little bit more. And also in this one, I can see it a little bit more. And in the matte, I can see it a little bit more. So I'm sure that if I keep coming back to this over the year, that by the end of this year, this is going to look a lot more used. because if it is my favorite, I think that this one is going to make a regular appearance in this video, and I just want to do so many more looks with this for sure. Then an eyeshadow that I did this time, like I had to do 2 looks today because I ran out of days before I had to film this video, but Realm of Fairies is so beautiful, and because I knew I had to take it off straight away so I can put this look on, I knew I could just like do something smoky and fun, because that's something I hadn't really done with these shadows. And I've been seeing quite a lot of people doing these like lash to brow sort of like crease shades and like applying your darker shades there. And with this, when I first initially used it last year for my review, I kept it pretty sort of safe, you could say. I went in with like whatever I thought was like a good crease shade for whatever it was I was doing, and then something like these like deeper shimmers I would like use as liner or something like that. And then I just used a little bit of a fun shimmer all over the lid and something on the lower lash line, and the deeper shades I was gonna use for liner. That's usually what I do whenever I do eyeshadow. And I was like, today, I feel like changing it up. I want to see what happens. So I ended up putting this one in the crease, and then very untrue to character, I never do this, but I decided to put this one, this dark sort of grayish blue, all over my lid, because I knew this is my favorite shimmer in the entire palette. It's almost like black light in a shimmer. It's really pretty. It's a bit like that Gloss Gots shade I told you about on Tuesday. It's got that same sort of vibe to it. I was like, I want to put that all over, but because it has quite a sheer base to it, I was like, I'm gonna see what happens if I put it over a darker matte, because especially these 5 shades, you could say, these 5 shimmers, they all have that sort of almost translucent quality to its base color, which means in theory that depending what mattes you pair it with, they are going to look different every single time. That's the beauty of really nice, good shimmers that have a sheer base to them. You can layer them over other things to make them appear differently. And that just, again, gives you totally different looks. So I feel now that I've done that, that indeed the look looks very different compared to other looks I've already done with the palette. And this is really one of those palettes where I'm like, yes, I've only just begun to scratch the surface of what this can do. Will I, whenever I use this palette, want to go into this shimmer for sure? Yes, totally, I would. But yeah, this was beautiful. I ended up using this darker purple to, again, because there was so much depth around my top lash line, I felt I needed a darker shimmer on the lower lash line as well, just to balance it out and to help it sort of come together. And I ended up using this white shadow in the inner corner, and that looked really beautiful as well. So yes, this is a beautiful palette. I still love it to pieces. One of the reasons why I wanted to reach again for this in January was because it came out as like one of my top 10 favorite palettes of 2025. I was like, if it's that much of a favorite, I have to use it again. And what better time of year to use this really nicely cool toned, almost snow fairy-like eyeshadow palette than January. And then we even had like a month where we've had snow several times, and luckily there is a little bit more sunshine out again today, but we've had some really dark, dreary days, and then this very whimsical, shimmering, fun thing was just a really nice addition to have in my Shop My Stash. So I really enjoyed having this one in and doing that look and just pushing myself in a slightly different direction that I normally wouldn't go into. I enjoyed it with this one. But finally, what's on my eyes today? And because I already did quite a like purple blue look with the Realm of Fairies, when I touched my Winter Wonderland, I was like, I have to use the teals. I just do. So this is very much focused on these 3 shades with this and this. So I kind of just went around like this. And to be quite fair, whenever I look at this palette, this is the corner that really stands out to me. This is the thing I want to reach for. Not that I don't like the other shades. I love the other shades too. This is a beautiful palette. I think it's a great winter themed palette. Cosmic Beauty did such a good job here. But this is sort of what I mean, like compared to like a Blend Bunny where everything is a gradient. I feel we're still getting some sort of like gradient, but things also like sort of hooked together. It's a little bit more like this, you know, where you have your shades in one color and then the shades in another color, but they overlap. So even though you do get a gradient in these like tealy green shades, I ended up using this really dark navy blue, bluey purple shade for my liner today rather than touching the black, which I think works really well. And that's what I just enjoy about palettes like this, is that I just feel I have more options because everything sort of goes together. If you want, and you want to go into a much more whimsical like realm with this, you can stick to some of these pastel-y shades, and then for instance like use some of these like lighter shimmers that you get. You know, you can push this in so many different directions. Like you can go full-on teal, almost like smoky eye. I mean, it's bright, so it's never going to be a smoky eye, right? But I really loved it. I ended up doing a setup with this matte from lash to like just above my crease. Then I applied this shimmer on top. I used a little bit of this on a very wispy brush to sort of help blend it to go it up, just to make it look a little bit more seamless towards the brow bone. And then I ended up using this as liner, as I already mentioned. And then this one is what's in the inner corner. And then I use that to sort of clean up, sort of like really like in here to have that there. Because one of the things I just find with my eye shape and like really intense matte shades, if I try to apply them all over my lid, that I always end up with like lots of darkness in here. And that's like the point where I want most brightness. So that's why I applied a different like brighter shade on top. This has two multi-chromes, which are really beautiful, but they are very standard multi-chromes, I find. They aren't fun, exciting multi-chromes. I have a bunch of multi-chromes already in my makeup collection, so it's hard for me to like find things like in the realm of fairies. There are multi-chromes in there as well, and they're very flaky and like whimsical, like I said, but those I feel are more unique because they're all cool toned. And in here, it's just, you know, a light blue with like a peachy pink flip. You can really see the flip here, as you can see. And then this purple, while beautiful, is just like a purple blue green, like one of those oil slicks shades, which have been around for a long time. So that's why I don't tend to actually go for the multi-chromes in this one. I tend to go for either one of these, the purple and this purple, and the rest of the shimmers I'm not too fussed with. But yeah, I do really enjoy the way this comes together. You do get a lot of like fun, brighter pops of color. You can push it really pastel and like very whimsical, ethereal looking if you want, but you can do fun, bright things if you want. You can go super dark and smoky with this if you want as well. It just has a really good balance between blue, green, and purple. And I love that the greens in here have a bit of blue in, making it look teal, because teal with brown eyes, if you have brown eyes, there are, to me, there's three shades that work best on me. And that's like blue, like a navy blue, I love with brown eyes. Purple, but in my case, that's because I have the slightest, ever so slightest hint of green in my eyes. And it really depends on how the lights hits my eyes, whether you can see the green or not. But if I apply purple, I can make my eyes look lighter and a little bit more green toned. That's why I like purple so much. But greens, and especially greens that have more blue to them, so therefore pull more teal, and this is just amazing. And then I tried to contrast it with this like really fun pinky magenta purple sort of lipstick. This is the Catrice Scandalous Matte in Casually Overdressed. And it just, whenever I wear like bluey, tealy looks, I want to wear this lipstick because it's a really good like contrast between the two. I really feel it nicely clashes, and I don't know why, but whenever I wear shades like this, I feel my skin looks better. I don't know if that's like totally true or if I'm just making this up, but I always feel like my skin just comes alive if I wear these brighter colors. And that's one of the reasons why I like them so much. It's the reason why I enjoy wearing this eyeshadow palette this much. And again, it is one of my favorite winter palettes. So what better time of the year than January, when we've had snow and stuff, to be wearing this. And I just, I don't know if you like it or if you feel it comes across on camera, but I love this. I love this to pieces, and I love wearing shades like this. And I don't know, it's just, again, I used a slightly different technique than what I normally would do. Normally I would probably start with a lighter shade and then sort of blend the deeper shade in there. But like with the Realm of Fairies, I wanted to see what would happen if I layered some of the shimmer over this deeper matte. So I really started it with this, and then I just used this to deepen it up along the lower, the top lash line, and then this on top. I mean, just the matte by itself actually looked a little bit messy, but having that shimmer on top really nicely evened things out. And because the shine has, like, the shimmer provides more dimension to my lids. That's why I don't like all matte looks. I feel like I need the shimmer to add the dimension to my lids and make it look like fun and sparkly. And I think this looks amazing. So I feel like $1,000,000, and these were the eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to go back to in January of 2026. I will be back with a new Shop My Stash really, really soon. And in that video, I will announce what palettes I will be going back to in February. I still have to film that video though. So if you have any requests for eyeshadow palettes that you know I have and that you know I have reviewed, but you're like, I want you to go back to that again, then let me know, because I still have to select my palettes for February. Not that I don't have any inspiration. I mean, I have plenty of eyeshadow palettes to choose from. Maybe in February, because I will probably towards the end of the month be decluttering my makeup collection, which I'm going to film for you, and then I'm going to post those declutters in March. So maybe I want to select a palette that I feel is on the chopping block. I'm not entirely sure yet, because it could also be that I then would just want to keep it, which is always, that's why I don't, like, when I declutter, I never really have a pile of, these are things I still need to try. I've tried everything enough that I know how much I like something. Very often, once I put something on my face again, this also happens with my clothing, if I wear it again, like if I use it, if I put it on my body, I just want to keep everything. So it's one of the reasons why I try to not do any like swatches in my decluttering videos, because even if I just swatch things, especially things like highlighter and blush, I just want to keep everything. So then it's very hard for me to get rid of things. But yeah, this year I think there will be fewer things to get rid of to begin with, because I just haven't been buying as much makeup in the past year or two. So I have like a nice little like shoebox set aside with things that I already know I want to get rid of. But it's mainly like lip products that I bought for Essence and Catrice videos, and that's like about it. So yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that yet. So let me know if you have any requests. I would love to know if there's a particular palette you would like me to go back to, maybe do some like different techniques with it, or maybe like a color combo that you want to see me do. Let me know, and then I can see what I can do for you. Also, grading season, test week season is almost done. And usually once we get to this part of the year, of the school year, my regular job isn't as crazy busy as the fall season is. Like fall semester, it's always crazy busy. So I hope that means I can do some more like BYOPs and start to be a little bit more serious about filming shorts. I filmed 3 shorts in January and I posted 2 of them. And I have a third one still sitting on my phone ready to go, but I just haven't had time to edit it. So yeah, I hope to be able to do more of that in February as well. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for all of that. And then I hope to see you again really, really soon in a new video. Bye-bye.